Are gay men more narcissistic? Hey guys, this is Michael Pizzullo. I'm a psychotherapist here in West Hollywood. I want to talk to you about narcissism and gay men. So narcissism is a very common topic these days. We're hearing a lot about it in the media and so on and so forth, and it seems like everyone these days has some narcissist in their life that's terrorizing them, which may or may not be true. But I want to talk to you about the overlap between this personality condition and the gay population. So just to get some things clear, so Narcissistic Personality Disorder is what you'll find diagnosed in the DSM, and it has really strict criteria about what differentiates that between some more benign personality traits. When you think of a personality disorder, you want to think of something that's really outside the normal deviations of human behavior. That's what makes it disordered. The truth is, like, everyone has a unique personality, but there are some overall healthy paradigms that you want to see baked in to each person regardless of their individuality, things that support self-worth and really support like pro-social behavior. And so if someone has a personality disorder, what you're looking at is someone who has a disorder really with how they relate to other people and how they relate to themselves. And so let's get clear about what narcissism really is. So a narcissistic person has such a severe deficit to their self-worth that they create this shell and this persona to defend themselves in the world. And we all do this to some degree, right? But this is to the extreme. And what you're gonna see in a narcissist is this incessant desire for power and also this incessant urge to simultaneously idealize themselves and devalue other people. So when you're in relationships with them, they have a very difficult time viewing the two people on an equal playing field. They're always going to be typically subtly or very directly pulling you down and trying to push themselves up. They just can't help it. And you see this with them even in relationships where they do try to have some sort of affinity for the other person. Eventually, the bad behavior starts to seep out and they start to, again, devalue the other person in some way. You pair this with someone who, for whatever reason, their temperament lacks empathy, which is a very dangerous thing because if you're not empathetic, it's easy to do things that are harmful to other people because they're not feeling the same sense of guilt and remorse or shame. Different from a sociopath who has no empathy or remorse, narcissists do have some, but it's just limited. So that's why you see a lot of, really toxic behaviors coming from this type of person. Now, what's often gotten confused is that people think of narcissists now just as like attention seekers. And, often in the gay community, what we're seeing is a lot of what's prized in our culture can be kind of attention seeking like. So posting lots of selfies, celebrating how you look, wanting attention, so on and so forth, and wanting attention a lot in particular for more superficial attributes. So some narcissists are attention seekers as well. So they'll do similar things. They want to flaunt how good looking they are, how rich they are, how powerful they are, and so on and so forth. But I really want to differentiate. There's a difference between being someone who's attention seeking and someone who's narcissistic. Someone who's an attention seeker can be extremely empathetic and sensitive and doesn't have a desire to put other people down. They just also are looking for some praise and attention at the same time. So there can be an overlap, but they're not the same thing. And I think what we're seeing in gay culture is it's true that every culture values different paradigms and different principles, and that a lot of gay men feel like our culture does put a lot of emphasis on aesthetics and status and so on and so forth. But just because our culture values those things does not mean that gay men are more intrinsically or inherently narcissistic. I would really, separate and differentiate those two. And the truth is that people from all walks of life can develop NPD or narcissistic personality disorder. It really has nothing to do with sexuality or culture. And truly, from a psychological perspective, someone who has full-on NPD is something that they're born with an innate temperament toward it, and it's something that's developed really early in childhood and infancy and toddlerhood. You're thinking like 2 or 3 years old is when the foundation of this personality pathology is laid. So that's way before any kind of sexuality is introduced to the person, or even social norms about how gay or straight people operate in the world. So this condition really predates, narcissism really predates the experience that a gay man would have in life. So just want to clarify those two things, that there's no research or evidence that shows that gay men are more narcissistic or more likely to have NPD. And the overlap between a culture that supports certain values that are maybe attention seeking or even maybe kind of extra or hysterical or so on and so forth is very different from someone who's a full-on narcissist. So I think it's great we're having a conversation about narcissism. You know, a lot of people have dealt with these folks and they can be quite toxic and difficult to deal with, and it's good to learn how to set boundaries and not get too involved with the toxicity that they bring. But we don't want to end up demonizing an entire group of people unfairly. So I hope this was helpful. I'm really curious if you're a gay man and you feel like you've dealt with a narcissist, or you feel like our community has been pathologized in this type of way. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments.